Hello everyone, doing something new on this channel. It's a discussion series that's going to appear periodically throughout the channel when there's something relevant or something that I have something to say about. No timeline on these, just when something comes up that I want to talk about, I do want to do some of these discussion series, predominantly to hear what you all have to say about these topics in the comments. Perhaps it'll start a discussion about some things that I think are interesting. Maybe not, but we'll give it a shot. The first thing in this series I want to talk about is called A Few Words in Defense of Kanye West. Playing in the background is Kanye's album 808s and Heartbreaks. I got late registration on vinyl there. That's the only vinyl of his I have. Everything else is on CD. The purpose of this channel, of course, is to show vinyl records, and I don't want to deviate too much from that, but I had something to say about this, so I thought let's make a discussion and see where it goes. What really inspired me to do this was actually, oddly enough, the film Anchorman 2. I went and saw it, and it was absolutely hilarious. Highly recommend it. But in that film, Kanye has a cameo. And we were all sitting there, enjoying the film. Kanye comes up for his cameo, and people just groaned. Like he was just hated. Like the minute the guy came up on screen and he was just doing something funny. And it really kind of made me think, like, this guy is truly hated among mainstream popular music. And let's qualify that right out of the gate. We're talking about mainstream popular music. Of course, there are more forward-thinking, harsh, abrasive artists out there. But we're talking about folks that get invited to the Billboard Awards. They get invited to the MTV Awards. They get on the cover of Rolling Stone. Popular music. Let's qualify that. And I think the point of this is, I think if you actually listen to some of the things that Kanye is saying, and you look at his actions in the context of music history, one, he's making some pretty good points, and two, his actions, let's put some context to them, there are things that we have celebrated with other people. And thirdly, he is a true artist, and I'll tell you why. So let's get right to it. First of all, in the context of popular music, rappers are no doubt the new rock stars. There are no rock stars anymore in mainstream rock music. Let's look at what sells in mainstream rock music. Mumford & Sons, bands like that, those guys are not really rock stars in the sense of what we thought of as rock stars, the hammer of the gods decadence. That may or may not have been a bad thing, especially the 80s glam rock, arena rock. You have Keith Moon and before that, Keith Moon throwing a TV out the window, the Led Zeppelin, Hammer of the Gods era. That may or may not have been a bad thing. I kind of have a warm spot for it. You know the kind of things I show on this channel. I don't think I have to prove myself as far as musical taste, but you may not agree with it, but I think I have good taste. But I still have a warm spot for that rock star decadence. I don't know why. It's just something like I think we need in popular music, that extravagance. And it's gone for mainstream rock music. If I was given the chance to live, a debaucherous weekend with rock stars, I wouldn't pick anyone in mainstream rock music. I would pick rappers like Kanye West or 2 Chainz or something like that. Those guys probably know how to have a really good time and live this crazy lifestyle. So that's something we use to celebrate. And Kanye, when he says rappers are the new rock stars and I'm the biggest rock star in the world, he's telling the truth. He absolutely is the biggest rock star in the world right now. So let's look at that in context, okay? Something else, when Kanye says he can't be controlled by corporations, that's something that a lot of people scoff at and say, you really believe Kanye when he talks about corporations? I actually do, and I'll tell you why. Corporations, we're talking billion-dollar companies, ABC, CBS, NBC, Disney, they're not going to put any money behind a guy like Kanye West. They're just not going to do it. What they want is someone like LL Cool J or Nick Cannon, someone that's going to get up there and read the lines and not deviate from the script. You're not going to get that with Kanye. And that used to be something that was celebrated. For example, when Nirvana played the VMA Awards in the early 90s and they were supposed to play a song, and instead they went into a Rape Me, which was completely a banned song at that time, That was celebrated. Wow, that was cool. That was Kurt Cobain, sort of giving it to the man, not doing what he was supposed to do. And as popular music, we all fans of popular music. It seems like at this point there's no controversy, and we all celebrate the Sex Pistols saying "fuck" on the BBC in the 1970s. That was cool. That was a cool thing to do, right? When Kanye says some of these things, he's just absolutely hated. Let's talk about the VMA incident with Taylor Swift. Let's look at that in context, okay? It wasn't the Pope. It wasn't the President of the United States. It wasn't a formal event. It was not a venue really worthy of respect. I mean, look at Miley Cyrus this year, which may or may not be a good thing, but I'm saying that's not exactly a church or something like that. And it was a fellow pop star. Was it disrespectful? Sure. But it was a rock star act. It got everyone talking about the VMAs. Who wants to sit there? I was a fan of it. Who wants to sit there? It actually livened it up a little bit. Who wants to sit there and just watch the VMAs and listen to people thank everyone else? You had this crazy drunk guy jumping up there and stealing the microphone. I thought it was great. Was it disrespectful? I understand, but crucifying the guy for it, he's a rock star. It was interesting. It was something different. It woke people up when they were probably falling asleep in that stupid show. Look at it in context. It really wasn't that big of a deal, and it almost destroyed this guy's career. I'm a fan of rock star acts like that, like Kurt Cobain not doing what he was supposed to do, keeping things dangerous. Kanye kept it dangerous there. When he said, George Bush doesn't care about black people, I think that was maybe... I understand why he said that. For example, I think what he was trying to say was, if Katrina had happened to a predominantly white, rich area, would there have been a different response? Maybe, maybe not. I hope not. I don't know. But I think he was really sort of venting the frustration of a lot of folks in the black community at that time. Was it an appropriate place to do that? Probably not. But again, it got people talking about this stuff. I think that's a good thing to have these conversations. I think Kanye's problem is he's just so abrasive. He doesn't really try to articulate things in a very calm manner. It's pretty to the point, which, again, I'm sort of a fan of that. I don't want this to get political because, as a person with advanced degrees in political matters, I'm strangely apolitical at this point. I think I'm not taking either side. I think it's mostly all about money, which is the next point I want to make, and which let's get to a few other points real quick. I don't want this to go on too long. I do think Kanye West is something else to keep in mind when you're talking about him. Again, I wanted to make those points of saying, let's look at those events in context and see what he's actually saying. Also, I think he really is a true artist. An album like 808s and Heartbreaks, an album like Jesus, that's career suicide for a man in popular music as he was. The easiest thing for Kanye West to have done would have been to keep churning out those songs like Gold Digger, those club bangers, doing 2 Chainz type songs. Believe me, he can do that. He was really good at doing that in his production, but he didn't do that. He took these ballsy moves, like Radiohead doing Kid A or something like that. It was a really ballsy move. He did it twice with those albums, and I thought they turned out really, really good on both those. Now, Yeezus was not in my honorable mentions list. Didn't make my top 10. I thought Yeezus was really a tale of two sides, almost. One side, the first side, was really, really strong, and there was a few songs on the second side that were strong. I thought New Slaves was probably the song of the year for me, and I'll tell you why in a second. But I thought there was just some songs that paled in comparison to other songs. New Slaves, Black Skinhead, Bound to, Blood on the Leaves, those are some of his best stuff ever. But songs like Hold My Liquor, I just didn't think they really paled in comparison. But I respect him for taking his music in that direction. And people go, oh, he ripped off Death Grips. Maybe, maybe not, but it was a much more ballsy move for him to do it than Death Grips. There's almost no beats on Yeezus. Think about what he's doing and think about who he is in the context of his career. It's a ballsy move. Could be career suicide in a lot of chances. So I think that he takes chances. Lastly, let's talk about, and this is probably the most important point of the video, let's talk about what Kanye West is actually saying. I think this is extremely important, and why I really wanted to defend him. You look at the song New Slaves, when he's talking about classism, when he's talking about how it's really about money. Things are really about money these days, much more than they are about race. And if you're of a different race and you have a lot of money, people are going to talk to you. You're going to be accepted in the circles. It's more about money. I think he's right about that. The points if you can get past the brashness and the points of what he's saying, whereas why are there only 10 black billionaires in the world? We're not talking about millionaires. Chris Rock used to have this great bit in his stand-up where he would say, people look at Shaq and go, "Oh, Shaq's wealthy." He said, "Shaq's not wealthy. Shaq's rich. The guy that signs Shaq's check, that's wealth. There's a difference between wealth and rich." I agree with that point. Again, I'm not holding a picket sign for either side, but I'm saying that's an important conversation to have that Kanye West is trying to say, albeit in a very gruff manner. It's sort of like manufacturing consent, those ideas of, people look at the ideas of Democrat and Republican and think, oh, they're so different. Not really. In my opinion, they're not. The bigger question is, why are we picking presidents that always go to Harvard Law School? They're all members of Skull and Bones Society and things like that. Not getting conspiratorial here, but there's a certain elite class that are privileged to power. And I think that's what Kanye West is trying to say. And it's a good conversation to have. Also, this idea of putting people into boxes. I am not a fan of putting people into boxes in any category. But also, specifically in the entertainment industry. It used to be, at the turn of the century, to be a star in mainstream music, you had to be able to do multiple things. You had to be able to dance, sing, act. I'm talking about people like Charlie Chaplin, people like Howard Hughes, who Kanye West has talked a lot about. Howard Hughes ran an oil company. He was a famous pilot. He was a film director. Guy had his hand in everything. That used to be celebrated. Lucille Ball, she could act, she could sing, she could dance. Nowadays, there's very few people like that. It's like you're either a TV star or you're a rapper or you're this, and that's all you can be. And I think Kanye West is rebelling against that, saying, I want to do other things. Does it sound ridiculous when he says, I want to design apartment buildings and I want to be, yeah, it kind of does. I understand that. But there's nothing wrong with ambition. Ambition is a good thing. And I think that's, so many Americans are having trouble with that because we're living in a society now where every child gets a trophy. Every act is celebrated, where there's clearly differences in ability. And to hear someone say, I am a god, I'm the best there is, I'm the most relevant voice in the country today, I want to do this stuff, it's like people are shocked, like, you can't do that. My point is it obnoxious? Yeah, but there's nothing wrong with self-esteem. There's nothing wrong with ambition. It used to be a good thing. And when he says those things, I think it's great. I think everyone should walk around with that much confidence and should have that much ambition to where they say, I want to design skyscrapers. I want to do this. If that's what you want to do, you should go for it. And I think that's a good thing that he's trying to say. That's all I really want to say about this stuff is, if you look at what the guy's saying, he makes some good points. Ambition's not a bad thing. Self-esteem is not a bad thing. The conversations he's having about class, that's interesting. His acts, as big of a jackass as he is, they're interesting. They get people talking. The Bound 2 video, it was ridiculous, but it got people talking. I would rather watch the Bound 2 video than a simple, rap club video. It's interesting stuff to me. I think the guy makes some really good points. I think he's a true artist. I'm just a really big fan of his, and I just think people should think about his acts and what he's saying in a little bit more context than just groaning before he even speaks, like at the Anchorman 2 movie. The worst thing in the world, this is the last point I want to make, to me, is not letting people speak. Which I guess oddly enough is what Kanye did to Taylor Swift. But specifically what I'm saying is when people have something to say, just not letting them talk. Just saying this person is this person is that, and they have to go away now. They can't speak. Listen to what he has to say, and you make up your own mind about it. He's not perfect. There's some of his music I don't like, but I think he's very interesting, and I think it's refreshing in a sea of banality and a sea of moderation. There's actually an interesting person. So anyway, something to think about. Leave your comments and let me know what you think about this. If you like this, maybe we'll do some more. Hope you all have a great day. Take it easy.